All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of Vibe Scaling. Today we have Claudio Fuentes.
Mariano.
And I'm Lewis. It's great to have you all here today. All right, let's just dive into it.
Bring it on. Something big happened this week, right?
Yes.
Our famous Henrik became real.
He was always real.
He was always real.
If you look into the law of the situation.
So how do you feel about that?
Honestly, my expectations were very low, but I'm glad that I was wrong.
Why were they low?
I just thought it was really cringy. Genuinely, American humor just sometimes doesn't hit the spot for me. But I feel like it's because European humor is different. I think we had this conversation internally.
Yep.
We had this conversation.
We had a question for you. Matter of fact. I just want to ask you, you said American humor doesn't always hit. So I'm curious, what are some of the best, marketing campaigns that you've seen that actually do hit? What has stood out to you as being some of the better humor campaigns, that sort of thing?
What do you mean? You're in Europe?
No, just in general. What campaigns? If we say most things don't hit, which ones do? Have your perspective on which campaigns are the best, or they actually perform? You actually find them funny?
Yeah, I just think American humor is very different to European humor in general. So if I like the UK Office more than I like the US Office, and I think it's very clear that most Americans find Michael Scott funny. I'm more of a Ricky Gervais is actually funnier kind of guy.
Yeah.
So it's 300 million people would probably disagree. I have no idea why that is, but I mean, if I had to sum it up, I would say I'm wrong. I was wrong with Henrik.
So were you wrong because you did find it funny, or?
Yeah,
nice.
The clip, I don't know if it was the idea of it or the script or whatever, but I mean, it came out great. The video was actually funny. I enjoyed it. It came together. I just couldn't envision the end product of it,
Yeah.
When I actually sat down and saw the final clip, I was like, holy shit, this is great. And I mean, it got 1,000 likes on X, 100K views, closing on 100K.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That account, by the way, I mean, 32K followers-ish.
Yeah.
Close to it. It's obviously, very funny. I just couldn't envision how you'd bring that to life by an American actor.
Yeah, I guess also from reading it on the paper itself, where you kind of have the script itself, to actually seeing it in the flesh, watching the video, finding that funny.
Yeah.
There's a big gap.
I guess you could have hired a completely different person, and maybe it wouldn't have hit.
It wouldn't have hit, yeah.
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 And maybe it was the actual person that brought the character to life.
Yeah, the guy that we hired is absolutely cracked.
Yeah.
He blew it away. You can tell he's a real professional at what he does. I actually have a question for you guys. I guess whoever wants to jump in. Why do you think most companies don't do this?
I just think they lack the desire or the need to do it. They're not thinking big enough, right? If you think about it, and by the way, I love Ramp and I love their brand. They have been around for more than 5 years. Their X account was made in 2020, and they have 30K followers on their account. Henrik has been around for 90 days and has the same or more followers than them, right? So yeah, I mean, clearly you're doing something right with the humor kind of based marketing.
Yeah, I think people are just not very creative with coming up with new ways to do marketing.
Well, maybe a brand gets too big and then they hire boring people to manage that stuff, right?
But I feel like
if you start it from the very beginning, maybe that will stick because of the culture, the people you hire. But if you don't set the tones at the very start of the company's journey, then it's bound to never go that way. Could you imagine being a head of marketing at a 250 person company and then trying to suggest, hey, we should make a funny parody account? You're gonna look like an idiot in your weekly sync with your marketing team, right? But if you do that from the very beginning, then there's no reason. We're all yeah, you know what? Maybe it would work, maybe it wouldn't. We couldn't take that risk quickly. Would you do that as a normal employee, 250 people company? You're not going to do it. You're not going to you wouldn't even have the courage to suggest something like that unless you're kind of cracked a little bit.
So Mariano, I guess what's your take on why do you think the Henrik campaign was so successful? Well, first of all, it's very well made. Like we said, the actor himself, the guy we picked was super professional, super good.
hits the mark. I don't know. I think just overall, it's very different from what people normally do in this industry. Usually people just, they do paid ads and, it's kind of like, oh, let's do a lunch and learn. And like that's like the current marketing that people...
Webinars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, webinars and conferences. And it's very boring. Everyone does it. No one's going to look at it. Right? But when we do something flashy like this, and it's almost like a Netflix like series that you want to watch. Yeah, I think it just grabs everyone's attention.
I guess like the counter argument that I think a big company would make, or like an established company would make, is, well, what they're doing is they're actually trying to promote their company, sell their product. What we're doing is more, I guess, entertainment. It's not really connected. So, we're not going to invest in, creating entertainment because we're here to, sell the product. We're here to network with potential prospects and things like that. So I guess, why have we decided to go different, and why is it paying off for us? And why aren't more companies, waking up to this realization that, this is a strategy that you could pursue?
I genuinely think, and this might just come off as like the most stupid thing I've ever said, but people like Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, everyone knows about them when you talk about them. So if you can like basically promote your brand with a personality, like the actual founders, then it's bigger than everyone else. Like everyone is Meta and, Apple big because they built great products or great, tech and did great things? Or is it because they had like highly likable founders with different personalities that are completely different, that gets people talking about them, that gets them in front of I feel like Mark Zuckerberg would have been like successful even if he didn't do Facebook, right? Like he's got like a very unusual kind of like personality that people love or hate and will talk about. Same with Jobs. Everyone big in this space has basically built a brand. Like you could probably argue that Steve Jobs is as well known as Apple, right? The names go hand in hand. So if you can like manufacture the same thing, I think we'll get to success like regardless of everything else.
I guess, Mario, do you think there's anything around, like, for example, we've launched this campaign, and I think part of what makes it really funny is that about 50% of people who look at it, they know it's clearly satire, and the other 50% kind of don't know. So some people actually believe that that Henrik is 100% serious about the things that he says, basically criticizing or overemphasizing compliance and saying we should regulate more and you should get more certifications than you focus on revenue. Do you think some of that sort of the fact that it's unclear, and that we actually do get some comments from people that are clearly agitated and almost like, you consider that like negative press, quote unquote, right? Where they kind of like lash out as like, how dare you sort of like trivialize compliance. And there's a little bit of almost like a negative connotation. It's not purely like everyone celebrates what we do. There's a little bit of risk, right, in running those kind of campaigns. Do you feel like that might play a role in terms of like why some of these companies might avoid, some of the more established players? Like maybe they just don't want the negative press?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think about it as negative press. I think it's just, people are just confused whether it's real or not. And I think that's good. I think it just pushes like a real pain point, or like things that people see of like, okay, compliance, and, some of these things are actually, like most of it is actually true, right? Where like, for example, like the European, like laws and regulations are very, very strict, and they have a lot of fines, and, most of these things people find annoying, and it's kind of like, maybe they think it's dumb. Mm-hmm. So then when you poke fun at it and you make this whole kind of like satire campaign around it, I think people resonate with how silly it is. And that's why they find it funny. It is interesting. I think this will happen with anything where people there will always be that other side of people that will believe whatever they're being shown. But yeah, I guess that's inevitable, I feel like. I don't know why big companies would avoid it. I don't think it's that they're trying to avoid it. I think it's just they don't thinking creatively and trying to poke fun at these like things that people already experience.
Yeah, I think part of what has made this work is that we're not afraid to take risks when it comes to creating media. And I think in order to create anything great, like whether it's great comedy or great entertainment, you have to take a little bit of a risk. You have to be willing to upset like some amount of people by speaking truth, right? And if you try to essentially just take the safe path, and all you're doing is you're coming up with statements that are not going to offend anyone, that are not going to poke fun at anyone, I think you end up with this like bland corporate content. Whereas if you're actually willing to upset a certain amount of people, that's what actually makes things funny. It's like you're actually speaking truth to power in a way. I think we're not afraid to do that. And I actually think like most companies, in a way, they hedge against that. They want to reduce risk as much as possible. They don't want to offend anyone. They're very politically correct. So if anything, it's a sign of the current, cultural climate where, God forbid you actually offend anyone.
Yeah, I don't even think these things are like inherently offensive. But I think just taking a strong opinion.
You're making fun of Europeans, I mean, in a way. Yeah. You're basically saying like, hey, that you're over-regulating.
Indirectly. I don't think we're directly saying like, haha, Europeans are, stupid.
Well, you're poking fun, the flaws in the thinking, and then you're really like blowing it out of proportion in order to make a point. And that actually could be upset to some people that.
That's true.
In Europe, that I'm actually think like, this is it's important that we are,
Yeah, like people take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Like that's life or death kind of thing.
And I think that's actually something that Lewis does really well. It's sort of like balancing edginess and sort of like taking a little bit of a risk to almost be more authentic to yourself and be truthful, as opposed to just being like a cookie cutter. And by the way, you're anything but a cookie cutter founder.
Yeah, I actually think that you kind of like self-select these people out. Like they were never our ICP. So I think that by offending them, it doesn't actually matter that much. If they don't agree with some of the stuff that Henrik posts, which is clearly like dramatized, if they wouldn't buy from Comp.ai because they saw that, then I don't think they would have ever bought it anyway. So they like self-select out of buying anything from us. So I just don't care or think about them. So I'm happy to offend more people with this stuff. I think Henrik is he's correct about a lot of the shit that he posts, right?
Yeah.
Some people will be
wrong.
highly offended by it, but it's true. I mean, I actually am glad that we made that account because I think, weirdly enough, outside of the whole like thing that we're building, we could actually probably get noticed by like European politicians because of the platform that Henrik has, created for himself, right? Like it could actually lead to some change if you see some of the stuff that's posted. You get Elon Musk replying to it. You get people in European parliaments that are actually talking about some of the stuff that he's posted. I think that's, a good thing. It's great for comp.
Yeah, it actually reminds me a lot of if you ever see like Stephen Colbert and like these like nightly shows like poke fun of the news, and these are like real events that have just happened, and they just completely dramatize it and trivialize it, and that's actually how they report on those issues. Yeah. To sometimes even bring more attention to the things that they do want to influence change because they care about.
It sparks a debate.
Yeah.
Like people talk about it, it gets amplified. And I think to quote like Elon, we live in a new media age, and we are just using, obviously we want it to be associated with comp because that brings, an audience, a huge amount of eyes on the business, but also it does allow us as founders to change things that we care about. I like the Henrik account. I like the stuff that he posts, and I think a lot of people would be obviously risk averse to pissing off half of Europe.
Yeah.
But half of Europe wouldn't have bought Comp.ai anyway. So who cares?
Yeah, I think also like as a tiny startup, it's like you're fighting for attention. Like you're playing a losing game from the beginning. Where there's so many companies out there. Everyone's competing. There's companies that have, there's billion-dollar companies that have, multi-million-dollar marketing budgets, and you're competing with them for attention to capture certain customers. So if you just take the safe route, you're more likely just going to end up getting completely drowned out in an ocean of infinite information. But if you actually choose to speak truth, choose to be a little bit edgy, I think that's how you break through and actually, get your message across.
I think a lot of companies play it way too safe.
Yeah.
They play it way too safe for people love I genuinely think anyway, like sales equals people. People love like authentic like brands and founders that they can like relate to. So the more that we do that, I genuinely believe that makes us an interesting enough company for people to choose us over other people. Right? Let's say we have the best tech in the world, which we do, right? We have the best like platform. It's the best software in the space to solve like that problem. But people also love the fact that we are raw, we're on socials, we're loud, we do have opinions, we have like unique personalities. All three of us are very different in the way that we convey ourselves, the way that we speak publicly. And I think people like that. I used to get comments all the time, and I probably have the most context for it as well, because I was actually the person speaking and selling to our customer base very early on. A lot of them would mention, like, you know what, love your like content. And sometimes it would be mine. Sometimes they'd say, oh, you know, like I've been following Claudio for a long time. I love what, you know, his opinion on this. People do bring it up, and I think it makes the sale, it makes the relationship with that customer actually, it's easier. It becomes like a natural connection with that person.
Yeah, I think
that is sales.
I think the way you said there's like authenticity, right? And that's basically being able to be yourself, unfiltered, 100% raw, true. People actually get to know the person, not just some mask of who you think you should be portraying. Because at the end of the day, if you just want to be a mask, you know, there's a billion people out there that are too scared to show their true selves.
Yes.
So you just become like a cookie cutter. Exactly, 100%.
Anyone can do that. And also, I think if you look, let's take like Elon Musk as an example, right? Sure, half of the world hates him, right? You could probably say 50% of people dislike him or have like a weird opinion about him. 50% of people like him. And he sells to the people that like him. People have a connection. And it's like almost like a cult following because of his personality. Right? He has the biggest voice on socials because he bought it. Smart, by the way. But also, people love his companies. They love the things that he's working on. But I think people genuinely like Elon for Elon. Like the people that like him anyway, they love him. They don't just like, oh, he's a nice guy or he's a cool guy. I think they actually like genuinely like to hear his opinion. They want to hear more from him. They want to follow him on all of these like socials. They want to hear his opinion on things. So to me, it makes sense to me to be not like follow what he's done, but also if someone's argument to me is, hey, you can't build a brand around a founder or a personality, I would say that's risky, by the way. Mm-hmm. Like literally Elon is pretty much like the most like one of the most right-wing people on socials, right? He has like a very strong opinion about a lot of things. He would probably like kick out every foreign person in Europe if he could, right? Like it's very clear from how he speaks on socials. And still, people like him, and he's still one of the richest people in the world with a huge brand, a huge audience, and his companies are great. People buy from them. So I would argue you can be, you know, crazy on socials a little bit. You can be a bit kind of like cracked out, and I don't think it necessarily means that you're going to kill your company for doing that.
Yeah, I think sort of definitely a lot of stuff that we've done to date since starting the company has worked.
Yes.
But I'm curious to kind of also like hear a little bit from both of you, maybe start with Mariano, just to like recapping. Obviously a lot of stuff has worked, but we've learned a lot, I think, over the last, 8 months that we've been live. It's been almost a year since we founded the company. If you could go back to that beginning, knowing what we now know about go-to-market distribution, I guess, is there anything you would do differently than what we've done?
I don't know. I feel like that's a very hard question because I feel like everything we've learned so far was because of the way we did it back then. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's really possible to go back and change it. Like our insights today and leading up to Henrik or...
Yeah, but I mean more like given context, the knowledge, the information that you now have, now you understand the dynamics, now you understand the strategies that work, the behaviors that work, the habits that sort of like led to positive outcomes. It's not like everything we've done has turned to gold, right? There's certainly been certain areas where, we try something, it doesn't work. I guess based on all those learnings, if you had to like start from scratch, brand new company, let's say it's comp, let's say it's whatever, I guess how would you approach it differently given all the knowledge that you now have?
I think what I would do is post more. Like I would actually try to focus more on everyday posting, talking about what I actually believe, even if it might be controversial or people don't agree with it or a hot take, right? I think people just like to see like Lewis said, like the personal side of, like he said, everyone wants to follow a person, not really a brand. Like people don't really care about the brand. So yeah, I think building up kind of like your following based on what you believe and how it aligns with what you're building, I guess.
So one thing to just call out is like I think still to date, like you don't yet post as much as maybe you should. Personally, I think we do a better job at that. Yeah. I'm curious to sort of like understand from your perspective, like why do you think people don't post as much? Like you're clearly, I think, kind of one of them. You're working on it. You're sort of figuring out your process. But like, what do you think stands in the way of people posting more?
I think it could be a little bit of maybe overthinking about like what you want to post. Like maybe just post anything, I guess. Also, for me personally, I just don't, I feel like I forget. It's not in my nature to be constantly posting. So I'm always just like focused, working on something important, right? Which you're always going to be working on something important. But making the time for it is very hard. Especially if you're not like a shit poster by origin, you know.
You should shit post more, I think. I think you would disagree. Like you love like a very authentic, like trying to help, or like you try and be like very useful on socials. I think like everything you post is like.
I'd love to explain why, because I think that's actually a good point. I think the way that I look at sort of social content in general is it's value based.
Yeah.
And it's essentially it's looking at why do people consume information. And the best information you consume, what does that have in common? And I think there's primary two reasons. One is entertainment. Is like I find this information entertaining, so I'm going to keep scrolling. I'm going to follow that account. It makes me laugh, or it's just interesting. Or it's informational, meaning I learned something from it. Someone shared 5 tips, or actually one that's very common for me is like AI model just came out. Here's 3 things that you can do with it. Yeah. So when I approach my own posting, I try to think about it from the perspective of like, why should someone care? I do think shit posting has its own space, but I think it falls in the entertainment bucket. And I think shit posting can be good when it's genuinely entertaining, not when it's just, like slop or it's just kind of completely like not very thoughtful. But I think it falls in entertainment for sure.
Yeah, it's a good point. I guess, can you name like 3 people on socials that you know who do the thing that you described?
I think so. For example, even if you talk about like Levels.io, everything he shares has some sort of insight behind it, right? True. So he's basically sharing, hey, I use this new technology. Here's kind of like how I'm applying it, et cetera. So he's basically, it's just the classic build in public, where you're essentially doing something useful and sharing the insight.
Yep.
I think most successful accounts, Alex Hormozy, for example, everything he's sharing is purely based on, hey, so here's something useful that you can do for your business. Yeah,
Hormozy's like weird for me. I feel like he's trying to sell something. So everything he posts almost like leads back to what he is directly trying to sell.
But the content itself, like what you actually consume, does have some insight.
Yeah.
That even if you don't buy his thing, you still take away and your thing got better. My business, I actually improved the way that I do business because I consume your thing even if I don't buy your product.
I like him. I read the book.
Yeah.
I read his books. It actually helped me become a better salesperson, like especially when we were doing like the early kind of like, calls with customers and all of that stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure if that is the authentic person behind it or if it's just a brand, I always feel like whenever I come across his like socials, I'm like, I feel like I'm being, I'm given a slight insight and I can find out more by purchasing something from him, like a course or a book or whatever.
He would hold some of the information. He gives you a taste.
Yeah,
and if you want more, you got to go and he gives you a slice. And if you want the cake, you still have to go to the store and buy the cake.
Yeah.
I do have a question for both of you. That is, for example, like what are your top like 2-3 favorite accounts? Period. From your other approach.
Ooh, okay. I don't know.
Okay, 2-3 that come to mind. Been super memorable, super interesting, memorable.
I love Yassine, the guy who worked for X and then got fired recently. Big fan of him. He always just like speaks his mind. He's a bit cracked. Levels, great account. I think he shares his mind. He's like relentless about it. He loves dunking on the EU, like, bureaucracy that we live in. I had to think of one more person. God damn.
Mariano, any comes to mind?
I think the only one that comes to mind is like Guillermo from Vercel.
Uh-huh.
Like, I feel like every time he posts something, it's very insightful.
Dick Rider.
Okay. I'm not allowed to have my top.
Do you remember? No, the reason I said that is because Guillermo follows me on X. Shout out to Guillermo. Big fan. Now
he's taking the spotlight from my
I know. Okay, so second person on your list.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I don't like look for a specific person. I think
just whoever jumps out. Well, I don't know.
I just go like my For You page or whatever.
Yeah.
I just
it's
see
just random
stuff.
accounts.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe like Chatien, like the guy from Chatien.
Okay. So the question I would ask to both of you is, you mentioned those accounts, and to me, when you mention them, sort of like Levels, Yassine, Guillermo, like they all have an element of it's either entertaining or insightful.
I don't know. Yassine is just a massive schizophrenic.
Why do you consume it?
It's funny.
It's entertaining.
It's entertaining, yes. And he made Dingboard, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, there you go. It's entertainment, right? It's entertainment. Yes. In his case, his personality itself is entertaining. In other cases, well, I guess that's the same thing as Henrik, right? It's like the Henrik personality as a whole is entertaining.
Yeah.
But I think it ultimately boils down to getting some sort of value, and that's kind of my whole argument around,
I think it's either value or entertainment.
Yes.
And you can have both in the same account, right?
Yeah, you can. You could.
I think that's.
I think you can.
That's what I'm saying. You can, yes.
Oh, I thought you said you can't.
No, okay. you can do it. I guess maybe that's what I'm trying to do, but I haven't put in the effort, right? But
Yeah.
I'm a little bit careful about like what I post because
I think it just takes effort to create value, to be honest.
I genuinely
either educational or
I genuinely think that you just might be overthinking it, because I think if you went and spoke to Guillermo or Peter, Levels, or any of these people who have made like a brand for them, I think they'd probably just post what's on their mind at the time when they make a post. I don't think any of them really sit down and try and like, I'm going to make a value-based post today. I'm going to try and do this, this, and this. I think they're just speaking their mind, and that so happens to be helpful to a lot of people. And then also sometimes it's also funny. Like I genuinely don't think they like really pre-plan or like schedule posts in advance. I think they just speak what's on their mind, like what comes to them as they go. And I don't think they overthink what they're about to share.
No, 100%.
Right? Like they don't overthink it.
I 100% agree with that. I think the difference is like some people have the natural skill of making something valuable, right? So either everything you say is funny, great, congratulations, you have an entertainment gift. Or everything you say is insightful because you're doing interesting work and you're just sharing the thing that you're building. Congratulations, you're now an interesting person that's sharing interesting insights. I think, but I think it still comes down to what is the audience, the consumer getting out of, consuming your post. So that's why, and I think that's the key difference between sort of the type of shit posting that's just kind of boring and sloppy versus the kind of shit posting you're just like, this person has a very unique or funny thing in the way that they communicate.
Because I could be like shit posting and say like, oh, look, it's raining today. And that's my post.
Correct.
But like, no one's going to care about that.
Terrible post.
Okay, but that's shit posting, right? You just post whatever is on your mind.
I don't know. You could wake up and you could have a dream about the React vulnerabilities that recently came out and post something about that.
Okay, but
those React vulnerabilities were really
but not every day you're having those, or like
I don't know. But even if you do post it, the question is like, did it come out in a way that's entertaining or interesting?
Yeah, I think it should be whatever's on your mind at the time. I genuinely believe, by the way, that most of the big accounts that we follow and we like probably just are on their phone too much and just like overthinking too many things. And
I agree, but here's the difference.
And
I think those people that have been on their phone too much have spent their 10,000 hours developing a skill where like everything they communicate, they know how to frame it in a way that ends up being entertaining or interesting.
Yeah,
maybe.
I for one, I'm not the person that's always on their phone. So that's why it's hard for me to just be posting all the time, because I'm not actually on my phone.
Maybe you should be.
I don't know, because then other things fall through the cracks,
and not as many things will get shipped in the organization.
Yeah. That might be okay.
Like I'm actually coding all the time.
But would it be more? Here's a great question: would it be more valuable for you to have 100,000 followers on X posting about the engineering side of stuff, or would it be more valuable for you to ship code? Because I know what I would choose.
It's a very hard question.
If you had 100,000 followers and you were posting about the engineering stuff and not actually doing as much of the engineering stuff, that would probably lead to a lot more customers for us.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done when you have tons of things to actually work on.
I actually think you're both right in the sense that like, yes, I think that'd be more valuable. I think the problem is right now there's too much of the engineering capacity. It just depends on you because of the size of the organization. I think as we hire more people and you're not the only one, pushing.
I think if we switch roles, you'll be in the same boat as me.
Right now, but I'm saying I think as your team grows and like you're only responsible for 5% of the roadmap or whatever, I think that's a good moment where it's like
your voice
the most
should
valuable
thing
is
you're like a developer advocate and for the brand.
Sure.
Like Guillermo is for Vercel.
Okay, but Guillermo has 1,000 people working on it.
Lead Rob for Casa and previously Vercel.
But he's not the one that people depend on, basically.
I think you're both right. Yeah. I'm not trying to be a diplomat. I think that's just generally true.
Yeah. I think at this moment,
I'm not trying to take away from like the work that you're doing. I'm just saying like you could probably. I mean, it's obvious that you can only ship X amount, but if you had 1 million followers on socials, then that's a huge audience that you can be selling and marketing the brand to. So I think that you should speak your mind more.
Those 1 million followers are not going to come overnight, right?
You never know. You don't know that. It could. It's happened.
Am I going to prioritize production, like kind of like things that are very critical for the company or like a product versus just posting?
I honestly think Mariano's like pointing out a very like it's like the age-old question of being a founder, right? Especially imagine like a solo founder, right? Like what do you do with your project?
You're cooked,
you just build it. You have to decide like how much of this time do I spend yapping versus shipping the next feature? And so it's obviously a very hard question.
But the answer is always the same.
The answer is you should be promoting more than you're shipping. Now, I think I understand the circumstances.
If you're the only one that's shipping, then
well, it doesn't matter. Have you seen how have you seen the amount of shitty products out there? that just absolutely mog because people are talking about it. That's the truth.
There's truth to both sides.
There's a lot of nuance to it.
We'll leave it at
it's
that.
not as simple.
We're gonna make the CTO crash out. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
CTO walks out of podcast.
Yeah, fuck this.
So anyway,
You say that because you're not the one doing the work.
Listen, I appreciate the work, and I think someone needs to do it. But also, if you could do 50 minutes of engineering and 10 minutes of shit posting about what you're working on X, I know what I would bet on long term working out. Like, you can create an amazing product. If you never talk about it, no one's ever going to buy it. If no one knows about it, you don't have any customers. But if you dedicate a small amount of time, even if it's 10 minutes every hour that you're working on the product, talking about it, you're going to get more people to buy it. And that's actually what matters in business, not the product. You can build the best product in the world.
If we had no product, the demos would suck.
But he's not saying we have no product. He's basically saying like, hey, can you take 20% of your time and dedicate it to doing more go-to-market stuff?
If you say it like that, yes. But if you're saying product doesn't matter, and the only thing that matters is
it's obviously not in the extremes, right?
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen, okay, I love Levels, but have you seen Photo AI?
No.
It's a very bad product.
Yeah.
It's literally an index.php file. He makes like $20 million a year from it.
Again,
It's
I feel like there's a lot of
one
nuances,
file.
but
It's
yeah.
one file, sir.
Very, very different kind of product, but yes.
Okay.
But he's managed to get to success with it, and it's actually the functionality works okay. It works, gives the customer the end the need that they wanted.
Okay, I'm gonna throw our CTO a lifeline here and try to reel it back in a couple notches. But I do have a question. I did want to flip around the same question that we were talking with Mariano back to you, Louis, which is essentially, we've been operating for a while. We've seen what worked, what doesn't work. If you had to go back to April when we first launched the product, I guess now that you know what you know about distribution, marketing, posting, well, is there anything you would do differently in that timeline?
Obviously, I would avoid the failures that we've had. So the self-serve 2 weeks we wasted on that.
Yeah.
We could have had more customers in that time if we just avoided that completely. I don't think there was like a mistake per se, but we had like a gut feeling that, I had a gut feeling that if we made Comp AI like product led, so people could just sign up, they could, select like a subscription, it would just work. The reality was that it's a very hard, people need a bit of guidance with it, regardless of how good you make the product, and therefore it's just never going to work.
I think you also mentioned this, but it's a high ticket product.
It's high ticket. If you put the pricing on during the self-serve, people are going to take that. They're going to go and speak to your competitors, and they're going to get, as soon as they have that human relationship with your competitor, they're on like a winning front. Right?
And you've told me this before, Louis, as well, which is like, maybe it's better coming out of your words, but something around, if you're going to buy a $10,000 product,
you want to speak to someone. You need to speak to someone. It's not if I'm selling it for 10K and my competitor is selling it for 15K, but the person has a relationship or a conversation with the competitor, 9 times out of 10, they will go for the 15K one. You're going to spend an extra 5K, but you're going to have you just feel better. You're naturally going to trust that person more. Do you trust the website or do you trust the person? So if we publish our pricing, they just go and get a quote elsewhere. They need to speak to somebody elsewhere. So they get that human connection. Well, we tried it and failed. It didn't work. No one bought it. We had like 3 trials, I think, in like a 2-week period. And
I think we realized very quickly. We're like, I don't think this is going to play out the way we want.
This is not going to do what we needed to do. And I think I'm glad that we realized that very quickly and decided to, let's just, the last 4 weeks, I've been saying to everyone, we need to be self-serve. We spent 2 weeks actually spending time in the product to get it there. Yeah. And then I think we spent 20 minutes talking about it, and then we ripped it all down.
Yeah.
What more can you do?
I was actually really grateful because I think the way we decided to throw something away that we spent 2 weeks building was actually very fast.
Yeah.
In a way that most companies don't do because they're too afraid of we already committed the engineering time. We might as well see it through and stick with it. And I think that's a mistake when you get so caught up, so attached to, because I already spent time on this, I might as well.
Yeah. I felt like a massive idiot, basically saying to you guys, hey, I think I fucked up. I feel like I have spent the last 4 weeks advocating for this thing. It's going to work. Trust me, guys. This is my gut. Let's do this. I promise you it's going to work. And then I come to you and say, I actually think this is not going to work now. I changed my mind. I don't even know why I changed my mind, but I'm pretty sure that if people are speaking to our competitors and they are not speaking to us, they're going to win every time.
Yeah. Do you remember our response to that conversation?
Yeah, you were like, okay, yes. Agreed.
Yeah, we're like,
like,
oh, thank God.
No, but I thought that was actually a great moment for us because it was like it was kind of like, yeah, that doesn't matter. I know I spent a lot of effort on this.
You guys could have crashed out. Mariana could have been like, you know what? I've just spent 2 weeks like fucking engineering this. I fucking hate you guys. You wasted my time. I think we should just double down on this and continue forward. Everyone was just like, yeah, I think we're right.
Yeah.
This makes a lot more sense. And then,
I feel like that's what's made our product great. Is that we are willing to kind of scrap ideas. Like we try them, we're like, oh, this didn't work. Even if you spent time, and effort doing it, like we're not attached to it.
I had a call today with somebody who, so, obviously we get a bit of hate from like cybersecurity people on LinkedIn who are like, you cannot get compliant in 5 hours. And this guy posted on LinkedIn saying that he booked a demo who's going to try us out. And I think he genuinely had like a bad intention going into the demo. Like he was there to try and tear the idea apart.
Did you sense that when you got on that call?
Yes. And he admitted that on the call, right? He was like, yeah, like I basically wanted to get on here and just basically say that you are wrong, you are stupid, this could never work.
Yeah.
And this guy he's a well-respected person, lots of followers on LinkedIn, well-known in the space. He got on that call with the idea that what we're working on could not possibly work. And it was a scam. It was just not possible. By the end of that call, he was like, my mind is blown. Like, he apologized. He spent so much time just basically saying like, holy fuck, like this is awesome. Can I work for you? Can we, you just changed his mind. And that was from a 45-minute like demo of the product, going through the steps. I feel more than ever that the product is in a great space. Like what we have is actually so fucking good compared to everyone else out there. That there's no reason that we don't win just based on that. But if you take a step back and nobody knows about it, how would we sell it, right? How are we going to get that into everyone's like hands? So whatever we do, I always think that we should be failing quickly and just yapping about it as much as possible.
Yeah.
That's what else can you do? Right? You can have the best product in the world. If no one knows about it, doesn't matter. Like it genuinely does not matter.
Yeah. I think for me, looking back at since we started, what we've learned, I think our only mistake was actually not talking more and not being louder on socials earlier. Yeah. And I think if we would have spun up our media platform much earlier, if we would have started posting, multiple times a day, multiple clips a day, every single day since day one, I think we'd be a little bit further ahead. Obviously, we didn't learn that until later on, but I definitely think what we're doing now is kind of aligns with that. Is basically just like we want to be as loud as possible. We want to be everywhere.
The product is already working well enough.
Yeah.
Now it's just a case of being the loudest in the fucking whole world.
Yeah, and I actually don't think. I mean, it does take a lot, right, to run like the media team the way that we do. But at the same time, it also doesn't. Like we could also lower the complexity if we wanted to, and just pull out your phone and record. Yeah. 3 things or 4 things a day. You could do it in 20 minutes, and now you have a couple clips.
By the way, I think you could make like a platform or an app like we have done, and literally just get your phone, go into Manhattan and just ask people questions about like cybersecurity. One example, if you were selling like a real estate app, if you made an app that helped estate agents, or I don't know what you call them here, realtors,
yeah.
Realtors. Not just they're called estate agents in the UK.
Real estate.
Right. You could ask questions to people walking down the street. How much did your house cost? How much was your home? How much was your first apartment? And if you just did that for 3 or 4 hours a day and clip it, post it on TikTok, a lot of those videos will go viral. Congratulations, you can now sell your real estate app. That would just work, right? There's no reason it wouldn't. It doesn't have to be any more complex than that, I think. We should pivot. Compliance for real estate. If a founder doesn't accept that they have failed quickly, they are cooked. Like genuinely, I think that the best mindset a founder can have is I am wrong from the offset, and then prove them. You have to prove yourself. You have to prove your idea, your point, your mission, whatever it is, your vision, and you are wrong by default. You're going against the norm. You have to prove it. So if you can't accept that you're wrong in certain situations, like the onboarding stuff that we did, then you're destined to fail. You're going to get into a rabbit hole of fucking failure and failure and failure without accepting it. Like, if I can accept that this was wrong, then I feel like actually we have a clearer path to getting to this was right. Like I genuinely think it's probably one of the most important things a founder can do. It's just I realize when they're wrong.
I think it's very cliche, but like failing.
Know when to pivot.
Failing fast is like it really is like a really important thing of just like
you die.
Just try it. doesn't work. It's okay. Try the next thing. Yeah, you don't have to die on every hill, basically.
Yeah, I think as a founder, you have to be maximally truth-seeking, which basically means like the most important thing is figuring out the truth about the thing that you're building, figuring out the truth about, you know, the best way to do go-to-market, the best way to build this product. And if you stumble upon evidence that you're actually not on the right track, you should listen to that evidence instead of being stubborn and just, you know, trying to, you know, protect your feelings. I think ultimately founders are too insecure to admit their own, you know, their own faults or their own mistakes.
Yeah.
And that hurts the business in the long run.
You're at a disadvantage from the beginning if you feel like that.
You get stuck in a path that's actually not the correct one.
I wonder if that loops back to like your co-founders and the team that you hire around them, because I feel like comfortable failing with you guys, like, or I as a founder feel comfortable failing when I'm failing alongside you two. But I wonder if it was, let's say I have a different person, a different co-founder that maybe I'm not as like friendly with or close to, would I feel comfortable failing at that point?
Imagine if you felt at risk, like the moment you made a mistake, we were both looking at each other like, how do we get rid of this guy?
Right now.
Yeah. You would not feel comfortable. You would be like, I got to defend this with my life, and I got to figure out either I'm going to be too risk averse because I'm not going to have ideas, because unless they're right, I'm not going to put them out there. So you're going to try less things, first of all.
Yeah.
And then the things that you do try, you're never going to admit that you're wrong, because it's just,
you literally are
the
putting
consequences
yourself
are too big.
You're putting yourself in a shitty situation.
I think for us, we just laugh it out. We go get an old fashioned and we keep moving. We go back to business.
We have a Henrik Johansson and then we move on.
I think sometimes we even like, we poke fun at each other. We're like, "Hi, remember when you try to do this? Like,
this
what an idiot."
Wow.
But we do it like in a good way, you know, like
it happens to all of us.
Yeah, all of us. Every single one of us has had shitty ideas.
All right.
And we
what
just
was your shittiest idea, Mariano?
I wanted to ask the same question. I think we should go around the group, starting with Mariano. What's been the shittiest idea that you've brought up in this business since February? I
feel like it was really, really stupid. Whatever he's gonna say.
You know or no?
I kind of have a feeling.
I'm trying to think.
It's so many things that he says on a daily basis. No, I'm joking. Actually, I know what it is. I can answer for you if you want. Good.
Okay.
He doesn't want to use
he wants to hear it. He
doesn't want to fucking use this goddamn library that I've been telling him to use for like 3 months now. I'm like, they have all of the requirements that we need for the app, and he's like, nah, I'm just gonna do it this way.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. See?
No.
I'm right.
No, but that's not really like a shitty idea that I had. That's different.
Maybe.
That's more like I just haven't gone around to do it.
Cap.
No cap. I don't know. I
have an idea of how you want to do it.
Can you think of a different one, Mariano?
Yeah, I think maybe creating all those damn tables, the database tables.
Yeah, it was overcomplicated.
We had like 40 database tables, and it was just overcomplicated for no reason.
Yeah,
I think that was like.
I think you were trying to prove yourself, not at the beginning, and I think you over-engineered.
Well, to be fair, the app was already there. I was just following whatever was already there.
Don't shift the blame, sir.
He didn't take
I did
initiative.
not question it. I was like, okay, you know what? I'll just build on top of it.
What I'm hearing there is you let a junior engineer, which is what I would call myself, by the way. I don't think I'm that a good engineer. Like, I'm okay, but what I'm hearing there is that you didn't want to be the CTO. You didn't make the decisions.
We had just like started working together, like really.
You're like sussing me out.
So I was like, I don't know how to.
Do I call this guy stupid?
Yeah,
not yet. Next month,
right?
Like 2 weeks later, he's like, "You fucking idiot."
Yeah. I think until we all three of us got together, then we started getting comfortable and calling each other out.
Dicks out on the table.
Yeah, literally.
Hey, this table was stupid. What was the thinking behind this? Yeah. I like it. All right.
What's yours?
No, you should go next.
I think for me, like I was thinking about it this whole time. I think the time that we spent on the AWS migration.
Oh yeah.
Oof. That was so bad.
That was painful.
We're still feeling the pain right now.
Yeah,
I believe
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
that was dumb. But actually, I'm gonna give you the money that we spent on the AWS marketplace listing that never materialized.
Yes.
I think Clara needs to give more context on what was the AWS thing.
Yeah. So I think. I mean, it's just very quickly. So part of our repository is open source. I think and we wanted to make it easier for people to be able to sort of like self-host our platform. And I think I went too far down a rabbit hole to sort of over-optimize how they could spin up a bunch of microservices.
Yeah, you over-engineered the fuck out of it.
I over-engineered every single
We're going to
nook and
have
cranny.
infrastructure as code, and I'm going to write it in TypeScript.
Which would have been fine.
I think I
feel like you picked the most
No, you know what it was?
difficult route.
I got obsessed with the idea of having a single like command that you could run that could spin up the entire like AWS cloud and all the microservices and everything working in tandem. And that was actually not necessary because people just only needed to host like one of the micro apps instead of the whole thing. So anyway, I learned.
And how long did we spend on that?
You learn about a month. But
About a month. Wow. Did he fail fast? No.
That was one moment where we failed pretty slowly and painfully.
Did he ever accept it up until this point? I don't think he has.
I remember we were telling him like, just use what's it called, the library, the
SST?
SST.
Yeah.
Just use SST.
I think we still run into issues with that, but I think the point is different. It was just more like we just needed Docker files, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
skill issue.
for real.
All right, Lewis.
There isn't any. Honestly, there isn't any.
I've made no mistakes.
Yeah.
I've made zero mistakes. I was going to say something really, really funny, but actually I want to take this seriously. So there was a certain hire, and I've never admitted that I was the person who kind of pushed it. You know who?
Yes.
The Voldemort of Comp AI. The Canadian, he who must not be named.
We cannot give more information on that, but
There's a load of Canadians out there.
we know
right?
who you're referring to.
Sorry.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed?
Yes.
Yes. That could have been fatal.
You know what?
In all due respect.
Yes.
And I'm very grateful that we were able to navigate our way to a productive outcome.
That could have been.
That could have killed the company.
That could have killed the
Real.
company.
That could have-
And there's
yeah.
only a few of those moments, but I think that was one of them.
Yeah, we would
Yeah.
be screwed.
Yeah.
person.
One person.
One bad hire.
One bad hire.
Yeah, and Matt, I mean,
But you know
it's
what?
like
on the flip side, I do think when you have a near-death experience like that as a company, I think you definitely start taking culture and hires more seriously. And I think that's part of the team that we have today would not exist in the way that it does had we
Yep.
not lived through that and then learned.
Could you imagine hiring that kind of personality, like 20 people in?
Yeah.
Oof. Oh, it would have been so bad.
Yeah.
For context, they
you know,
did
on the flip side,
on the flip side.
I ended up hiring the best person.
Who?
You know who? Who was the replacement? He's been such a great hire, and he's still here. And he's cracked.
yeah,
the new
shit.
head of
Super
department.
cracked.
Yes,
Yeah.
that has been a great hire.
So
So
that's,
fan.
you know,
we appreciate you
we
for
learned,
course correcting.
course corrected, and like blew it out the water,
Everyone
I think.
listening is going to be like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? They have zero context. Basically, we made a bad hire, and then we made a great hire, which basically...
Which we're still
like,
super happy with.
Yes.
Yeah, could you imagine how... we can't even explain it to people, really,
no,
because
but
it would have been so bad.
I mean, but you hear about this in a bunch
Yeah.
of startup stories where like they do have these like almost fatal mistakes and they happen
yeah.
a couple times in your company. This was one of them for us.
We were actually like, I don't know, like we saw no
Could-
way out of it, and then
we were on a spiral. and-
Honestly, did he get into the same spiral with AWS? I think that could have killed the company. It still might.
If we kept it going.
It still might.
Listen, did I waste time? Yes, but was it going to kill a company? Not anywhere near it. No chance. No shot.
I don't know. Have you seen our AWS bill?
It's pure credit, son. It's been free 99.
They expire next month.
What?
That's his problem.
Yeah, it is his
Are you
problem.
serious?
I'm serious.
Why did
Godspeed.
they expire? That makes no sense.
They expire.
Should I put all the cursor bills on it?
Huh?
For now,
Cursor?
maximize.
Dude, how much are we spending on Casa right now?
I don't know.
I've been ripping that shit hard. It goes every day, all day, every day.
You're not the only one.
I feel like I spent like 2K a month on that easy.
more.
All right.
Maybe? No way. How much are we spending on Casa? Fuck, do we need an intervention?
All right. I don't
It's
mean
bringing a lot of
I don't mean to
value.
pivot the conversation, but
It's like 4K.
I don't mean to pivot the
4K?
conversation. However, tonight
Engineering
is our holiday party with the team.
Yes.
It is.
And a certain someone in this audience has to go and meet up
Oh.
with their significant other to make sure that we don't
My
have
wife.
any.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in this week. We appreciate every single one of you.
It was great speaking with you, Lewis, and
Likewise,
Someone
Mariano.
else.
Mariano, I'm a big fan of you.
yes. You know, I really enjoy working with you and doing these podcasts. I think it brings the best of me out.
It brings the best of both of us out.
Yes.
Honestly, yes.
Exactly. Just both of us.
Yeah.
Just
Everyone else
to be
is dead
clear.
to me.
Yeah.
Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.